You were talking about setting it up and what you had to do and the changes you had to make as a teacher. But also, I know what it was, is you talked about how when the lesson turned and you had to accept that turn sometimes. And I think those are those teachable moments that people want. Mm-hmm. Again, that you talked about, that's a great question. We'll come back to that mm-hmm. and never do. I think allowing yourself to chase the teachable moment as a teacher, mm-hmm. even though it's not in the target, it wasn't on the plan, and if the administrator walks in, you're doing something different, but there's a reason. I think a good administrator can tell when learning's happening in a room, and they can always discuss why it was off target if that was that important to them.
And actually, I had a formal observation where the whole lesson went completely off target. We didn't even get to the learning target that we were supposed to. And at the end, I was worried, mm-hmm. like, okay, this is going to be horrible because we didn't, right. because I allowed the kids to go off into that because it was when we were working with equations, they didn't know what it was. But the administrator was very supportive just because of the discourse and realizing that the kids were leading that discussion and the questioning.
They weren't ready for that learning target.
They weren't. And it's important to kind of be reactive with things like that. So you plan things, but you have to go where the kids need to go. Because in the end, that's going to help them be able to move. I feel like with this part, some point in the year, we'll be able to move at a faster pace because they have a good foundational understanding of the things they needed initially. And so I've even seen that throughout, that they're getting things. And the kids relate. We may be talking about a totally different subject. And they say, well, that's proportional, isn't it? And I'm like, it is, because they really have that understanding and are able to connect some things that I have not seen in the past.
I mean, that's that schema development and whatever the modern terms are for it now. It's all the same thing. Taking that prior knowledge, relating it to a new scenario and solving new problems. That's pretty powerful. That's much more powerful than I can factor a quadratic.
Right.
You know, I mean.
Right. And we talk about a lot, this is what I was going to mention, that math is problem solving. It's about thinking. It's about solving a problem, persevering when you get stuck, and making sense of a problem. Just like when we were talking about the table and the kids had the numbers switched, I was shocked that not one person pointed that out. There was one guy that was in this group who was thinking out loud, like, that doesn't make sense. And but he didn't share it. And I was kind of waiting for somebody to pull that out, because we talk a lot of times about common sense is not common anymore.
Right. No, it's
Kids
not.
are looking for the right answer, not does this make sense. Does it make sense? We take 86 hours to go 2 miles. But nobody focused on that because they're so used to focusing on the numbers. Mm-hmm. My 2 kids that were new to my class today did a lot of, is this right? My kids don't ask that question anymore because they know I'm not answering it. So as a teacher, getting out of the mindset of looking for a right answer and looking more for the why or how did you get that? Why do you think this is right? Prove it to me. Sure. I'm not going to tell you.
If you justify it to me, do you really need me after that point to say, oh, yes, a great justification?
Right.
Classroom consensus, I saw some of the hand signals. That was good, too. This is great. I mean, this is stellar. Thank you so much. Okay. It's going to be so useful, great tool, and I'm really happy you worked with me on this. And again, I do want to come back and catch that other group. Let them see the dynamic that group had to offer as well. So thank you again, and I guess that's it.
All right.